Hello, I appreciate you being here on the old whatwasthatradio.com YouTube channel account, place, space, situation. Wow, yes, awesome. And a conversation with the Tazers is what I've got for you today. This is a psychedelic band out of South Africa, and I first discovered their EP Love Machine 3 years ago. It is scintillating. These guys are seriously flipping talented. And what was so cool about our discussion, and this is another one, a conversation with some of these can go for 3 hours. This is another one where we really hit it off and dived into discussing so many powerful topics around the creation of music, the streaming services, the rock scene in South Africa that is really, really difficult to emerge in and to connect with. But these guys work their backsides off, and I adore them. I hope that you, in turn, will adore them and be galvanized by their production. By their, what's the word I'm looking for? Produced, by their, curated, by the music they fucking make. And the souls that shine from out within I'm not doing this again. This is a one-take wonder intro, okay? Because this is what you get. Because it's me. And I love that. And I love the Tazers. And I love you for being here. Welcome to a conversation with the Tazers. Please consider a cheeky like, subscribe, or just check out whatwasthatradio.com and dive into discovering.
Hello.
Hello, Jethro.
Yes, how's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, bro. Sorry, I don't have a camera on my desktop, but I can use my laptop if need be.
Yeah, is it just going to be us today, or is Guido and Tim available as well, or how are we going about it?
No, Tim is joining. He said I just sent him the link now. Guido, I guess we'll talk about it on the show, but yeah, he's leaving the band, so he's not really part of much anymore.
Oh gosh, okay, all right.
Yeah,
and it's okay to talk about that. We haven't got to touch on it at all, Jethro. If it's best that we just leave it, it's the comfortability is up to you.
Oh no, it's super chilled, man. It's very easy going.
Okay, sweet.
There's no hard feelings or anything. Yeah, so we can most definitely talk about it.
Okay, fabulous. Well, I would love, if possible, if you could disconnect and reconnect with a camera so I could see that wonderful hair. I would appreciate that.
Okay, cool. Give me like 2 minutes. Let me just get my laptop out and I'll catch you now.
All right, zero rush. Take it easy.
Sweet. And I'm sure Tim will be on soon.
All right, mate. We'll speak to you in a second.
Sweet, man. Cheers.
Bye. There we go. Oh my God. Ghastly. Who is that? So there we go. That was Jethro, and that was the interview. Good night. No. Two Johns don't make a right.
Hello.
Hello, Tim. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Jethro's just disconnected to go and get his laptop so that we can get the camera going.
All good. I'm going to pour some wine.
Yeah, it's 8 p.m., man. Get comfortable. 10 a.m. for me, 8 p.m. for you, right? In South Africa?
Yeah.
Fabulous.
I was worried it was going to be an early start for you, but it's not so bad.
No, it's not too bad, actually. I mean, I had a chat with Sophisticated Dingo from Australia last week, and that was a 11:30 p.m. start for me, and we wrapped at about 1 a.m. my time. And then yesterday spoke with some Australians in Loser, but we did it a slightly different way around in the sense that they were getting up 9 a.m. Melbourne time, and I was in the afternoon, 4 p.m. But they're a day and a half ahead, for goodness sake. So, yeah. No, I'm based on Vancouver Island on the west coast of Canada. I'm originally from England, but I've been here for nearly 12 years now.
Oh wow, I love your room. It looks so green and artful.
It's 70s inspired. Actually fits quite well. I mean, that's my partner Jody, who's in the chat right now as we broadcast on Twitch, and Jody loves 70s gold and yellow and brown warmth. And I moved in here just approaching a year ago, and originally was in a little cupboard upstairs in the bedroom, and then was feeling a bit constricted. And she said, well, why don't you bring it downstairs? I said, well, this room will be the perfect backdrop to talk. And it's usually, to be frank, Tim, the first thing that people mention is, oh, your room's great. And that's all down to Jody. It's got nothing to do with me, mate, at all.
It suits our aesthetic too, because Jethro actually throws a festival called That 70s Fest.
Oh, no way.
Well, it started as a gig called That 70s Show based on the sitcom.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we get everyone to dress up like they're from the 70s. And
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, Jethro. We can see you too, my friend. Fabulous.
how's it, kid?
How's it, brother?
Not too bad. I firstly really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for doing this. And the most important thing is that you both share what you're willing to share, what you're comfortable in sharing. And this is just going to be a cheeky conversation. I did work in commercial radio for 10 years. You may have seen when I worked at the Zone at 91.3 and was tweeting that I was playing you on mainstream commercial radio here on the west coast of Canada about 2 years ago. But I decided, long story short, to quit commercial radio because I just wanted to keep growing, and I felt that I'd reached the top of where the company were allowing me to grow to, and I thought, you know what, screw it, let's it's a pandemic, the whole world's going to go to shit and change, let's dive into the bubble with my partner Jody, whose wonderful living room we're just talking about, Jethro, whilst you were reconnecting, and
Cool.
and launch What Was That, which is a radio station, a podcast, an arts academy, and everything I own is split 50-50 with the foundation, and where the money goes from that. Long story short, that'll be my favorite catchphrase because I want to get to you guys. But the long story short is that everything split 50-50 means that money goes back into the subscribers and the supporters of me, in particular, back into mental health and also into supporting independent bands from around the world that we get galvanized by and love. And you were one of the first bands that I played when I launched the station in a year and a month ago, because I just love the authenticity. And again, for those watching, that's a big word that comes up in these chats, because I'm striving to connect and meet bands that are making music on their own terms, and due to the authenticity and how they make it in the first place, it's attaching to me and it's exciting me. And I was just saying before you guys joined, and what I love in all your music is the fun that you hear clearly played through performance wise. And then, you know, you've got things like in Golden Girl, you've got the la 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 at the end of it. That's great. and I just love the energy of the Tazers. And so the first thing though, Jethro, is Tim was saying, do you want Tim or Timothy? Timothy, what would you like, sir?
Tim is easier. It's quicker, saves time.
Yeah, it's like I'm Jonathan, but John. Just keep it 3 and get it snappy. Let's go. Yeah, but Tim was just saying, Jethro, that you ran, or still run rather, a festival based on the 70s show, and we were talking about my partner Jody's aesthetic here in the living room. Do you want to expand on your love of the 70s?
Basically, yeah, I suppose it all stems from my dad, obviously growing up in the 70s, and his musical like taste, obviously when he had me, affected me, and like how much that changed my life when like I was at a pivotal point, like starting to listen to a lot of psychedelic music and all the cool stuff from the 70s. And actually I read a book called Taking Woodstock, I think it's called. It's basically based on the guy who started Woodstock and how he like came about to where Woodstock is now, and like how it began, which is crazy because it basically like he just winged the whole thing. And I thought like the same aesthetic with like doing events and putting on parties. Let's just wing it and see where it takes us. And I suppose that 70s fest and that 70s show is like a byproduct of that, you know. It just kind of happened, and it's just a machine that keeps growing.
And is it a festival that focuses just on rock per se, or is it more open than that?
Yeah, it's pretty much just based on psychedelic rock. That'll be like the band lineups, but we do have like vinyl DJs as well, who will play basically like everything from the 70s, like funk, disco, house, all that stuff. So it's basically like an amalgamation of like mainstream or underground psych rock bands in South Africa and whoever we can get, and then obviously vinyl DJs. So yeah, it's just a mix of the two.
Awesome. I have to be honest with you, and honesty is the best policy, is in that I sometimes when I find a band that really excites me, I don't do any looking, and I immediately go to the source and say any chance to chat, to then just organically discover and learn of during it. So I'm not going to pretend to know what I don't. And with that standpoint, I just want to get to know you guys. And so as I touched on at the start there, I love that you can feel the energy and the connection and just the fun in creation when you capture yourselves in the studio. You've been posting on Instagram a few days ago that you're back at it and this, that, and the other is done. And so what's the protocol been? How have you approached recording? Is it different to before the pandemic, and what is the energy you're trying to create with the next? What is it going to be? An EP, an album? What are you willing to digest and share?
It's it's basically we've recorded basically an EP. We spent quite a long time recording our album Plastic Kids. It took us almost 2 years to complete, and that was before the pandemic. We were quite pedantic with the songs and re-recorded a bunch, and we did lots of overdubbing with that. So we recorded the drums first and the guitar and all the rest. And we decided with this EP we wanted to try get it to be more organic again. So we recorded drums, bass, and guitar all in the same room together. So yeah, we learned the songs like back to front first before we even got to recording. We learned the songs and wrote them and had them pretty much down except for the vocals. And and got into studio, and we had the whole EP worth of instrumentals basically done in a night. We had recorded it all. So it's more raw that way. I feel like this new EP that we've got going, it's definitely a lot more raw than previous attempts.
Well, you've had to have those songs shit tight to go in there and record it all in one night. I mean, that's balling on a budget, as Harley Jody, my partner's 7-year-old son, says. That's not messing around with your time. You've got to get in there and get it done.
Yeah, it really helps. It's nice. It gets a little disheartening when you're stuck on a song and you almost end up hating it because you're like, oh God, why can't I just get this done? You know, we still love the songs now. Like when I listen to the songs, I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. You know, I'm still very excited about it. So it's quite a nice different feeling to have instead of like with Plastic Kids, you're like, oh, thank God this thing's done, you know?
So, but Plastic Kids, that's my introduction to you, is that record. I mean, one of my favorite songs is yours truly. I know that for Plastic Kids, Golden Girl, they really stand out and pop, but yours truly, I love. What I love about that is the eeriness that you sort of play with between all the parts in the construction of that song, especially the guitar solo at the end when it's really flirting with going a little bit sharp. It's sort of just gently prodding at the underbelly of the song, the foundation of it, into that extra. And that's one of the big things that I adore about the way you've crafted this record is you leave a lot of space. Yes, you apply some reverb here and there, but you leave the space for the mind to wander into. But you also have a very, very clever play, as I was just saying. You cleverly interconnect the parts together. And so why then, let's backtrack then and really dive into Plastic Kids. Why did it take 2 years? And why is that something that mildly nags? Because from my perspective, it was 2 years well spent. This is a really fucking good album. Really good album.
I think from my perspective, working on like songs and stuff, I'm just like an extreme perfectionist. So like we have to get the perfect take. We have to get the perfect guitar tone. And there's like a lot of variables that like we had to redo a lot of stuff with Plastic Kids, just because I know a big part of it was me because I'm like OCD on like mixing levels because I do all the mixing of Tazers.
And no auto-tune. No auto-tune.
No auto-tune, but it has to be like authentic, but also really good. And it's like an OCD thing. So I'd prefer to get like a good take than have to like go in and like fix everything. But when we were like a year in, we were at a point where I was like, okay, cool. I'll just fix this in post, or like I'll just like tweak the drums here and there, or like fix the bass if there was like one slight bit that was out. So there was like a lot of songs that kind of got a lot of post-production treatment, which I don't usually do as much. But with Plastic Kids, it just felt like there was too many songs to work with to have them all like perfectly done in terms of takes. So we kind of just went with that approach, and it ended up taking like a lot longer because obviously I had to spend more time on the mixes to get them to the quality that we wanted them to be at.
Yeah, there's nothing like...
We redid the vocals on... which one was it? I can't remember. We redid the vocals on at least like 3 tracks, at least 3 times.
Yeah, I know. We struggled a lot with Taking Us for a Ride was one where I must have done at least 5 or 6 different vocal takes, and like even then it was like, okay, like I'm not doing this again, like this is it now.
Yeah, we just had to accept it for
final
what it was.
So it seems then that you really do lean into that old school to tape vibe, in the sense that I want to capture the best performance I can in a few authentic takes and then want to walk away from it because that was me in that moment. That's what I want to be heard.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, we definitely took that with our new EP that we've got coming now as well. There's a couple of drum mistakes that I've grown to love now that I've listened to it a couple of times. I'm like, I'm gonna learn how to play that mistake.
Do you play to click on this live off the floor situation, or are you just going in raw?
I think there's like 2 songs that we have click, and it's only in my ears. Only in I play the drums, and I put the click in my ears, not in Guido and Jethro, and then they play to me and I play to click. And that way, if we do get excited and rush a bit, it's quite a natural feeling. So we can, and I can always just pull us back if we need to. But there's also some songs that we need that speed up to actually add to the energy of the chorus. So we can't play to click.
Yeah, when
I've practiced them.
It's a fascinating battle with click. I mean, when I used to be in a band, we were a 3-piece. We did everything live off the floor every time, and then we would add maybe secondary, second, third, fourth BVs with Ali and stuff like that. But we tried, Jordan and I, to really capture that energy, and that's why I've got a lot of respect for anyone going in and laying down 4, 5, 6 songs in one night as a 3-piece, because we spent an entire day realizing that the drum beat that I had, when you get in the studio, you hear that different intricacy of how you're going about the pattern that you're trying to create. And so I remember getting very frustrated for 5, 6 hours, going round and round and round, playing the same fucking song like 50 times until I exploded and just threw the drumsticks down the other end of the room. And then Malcolm, one of my best friends and the producer, came through and said, there's like $20,000 worth of microphones in here, and you're going to just keep the sticks in your hand, and I love you very much, and it's all good. Don't worry about it, man. We're good. Yeah. How did you two even meet in the first place then, Tim and Jethro? How did your friendship start?
Oh, that's a long story. Well, not a long story, but it's been a long time. I've known Jethro since I was 3 years old. There's footage of Jethro and I as little toddlers at the park, eating fish fingers and drinking Coca-Cola. It's so funny though, because in this footage, Jethro's playing on a little, I don't know if you've got Milo. It's like a chocolate drink in Canada. Anyway, no, it's like a little like tin like tub and he's like playing bongos on it, and I'm playing this shitty little plastic guitar, like 3 years old.
Well, the roles reversed.
We've known each other for a very long time.
What's your earliest memory, Jethro? How can you top that adorability? That's pretty unique.
Actually, there's another memory. I think it's around the same time actually, but it's also like from a video where I think Tim is like playing drums or something. I can't remember what Tim was doing, but I was just like sticking my hand in like a fruit juice like glass and like pouring juice all over myself. That's my earliest memory, I guess.
That is so cool that you've got that connection of what I presume is easily over 25 years. I'm going to guess politely. I mean, I'm 34, but it looks like it's 20 years in the making.
Definitely. Yeah. I'm 29, so I'm turning 30 in 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh. Well, my partner Jody, who just said in chat, so adorable. Thanks for sharing that. How do you feel about that, Tim? Because Jody has been saying, Jody, I'm not throwing you under the bus. I love you very much, but there is a little bit of anxiety about turning the big 30. What's your take on that?
Oh, I am so excited. I feel like 30 is the new prime. And that's what I'm telling myself to feel better about the whole thing. But yeah, I'm excited. I feel like this time in my life is a very emotionally mature time, and a time where you can cash in on all the life experience, all the failings, all the the things that can go wrong. I feel like I've gained experience in music and in my career in VFX and animation that I can really start leaning into the things that I really enjoy doing. So I'm pretty excited, actually.
Okay, well that's going to take us in a different direction in about 5 minutes, but I still want to dive back into the adorable the adorable kids that you two are, because if the earliest memory is okay, there's instruments involved, but we weren't really making music. When did you both decide? How did you bond over a certain record? I mean, for me, I was given a Beatles record every birthday, every Christmas until all of them were given to me, which was amazing. What was a moment where you decided, like, you and I, we need to make some fucking music here and not just stick our hands in apple juice?
The crazy thing is, for me, like, I never actually played an instrument until I was 18. I only first picked up a guitar and got properly into like music in matric. So when I started doing that, Tim had already been playing drums for, I mean, he's been playing drums for as long as I've known him. So I think pretty much his whole life. So
since I was about 4 or 5.
Like a lot of bands. He used to be in a band with my brother because my brother is a musician as well. And then one of our other friends that we know really well, Tom, started jamming with us. I started playing bass, and then we just kind of formed this like fusion jazz, ska, rock and roll, blues band in the basement of like the studio that my parents had in their house. And we used to just jam there all the time, get like really high as like 18, 19-year-olds and just like zone out and write crazy music. So that's obviously where my bond with Tim formed in terms of like musicality and playing, because obviously bass and drums is a very tight bond. It's got to be like a close relationship. So through jamming through that, I guess we just formed that connection of like solid like groove and bass that was just one. And then I started the Tazers a couple years later, and obviously Tim was like the first choice on drums, and kind of just went from there.
Did you have to separate Tim from his brother's band, or was he already free of that and good to go with you?
Yeah.
I was desperate to play because I had Jethro and I, when we formed that first band that we played in together, it was called Hey Bang Dead. We were living in Port Elizabeth together, now known as Tebeja. Then I moved to Joburg, and for a year in Joburg, I was completely new to the city again and didn't know any people, didn't have any people to play with. The band with Jethro's brother had long since dissolved. I was dying to play in a band, and Jethro finally moved to Joburg with me because that's where the music is happening if you're in a rock band. I jumped at the opportunity. I actually joined 2 bands at the same time that year. And it was lovely. It was really great to start playing with Jethro again.
A session drummer indeed, then. The thought of playing in 2 bands for me gives me a nosebleed. I'd rather focus on one task at a time.
Well, this last year I've been playing in almost 4 bands. It's pretty wild.
My God.
Tim is the definition of a stage slut.
What are the other bands?
So I played. So that other band that I joined when I joined the Tazers was called Pollinator, with a very good friend of mine now called Ifrit Sneeman. Pollinator's on a bit of a hiatus. We might start playing again next year. But so this year I've been playing. I finished an album with Ifrit Sneeman. It's called Ifrit Sneeman and the Avery. And I also played drums for another band called Rough Magic, which is like a doom band slash rockabilly kind of vibes. And then the Tazers, and then another band called Cockles, which is just kind of a bit of a fun band with my boss slash colleague. But yeah, good. I'll play with a band as long as I have the time.
Well, but you said that also you said 10 minutes or so ago that your career-wise is in doing visual effects.
Yes, yeah, I do animation, motion graphics, and a bit of VFX, which is quite fun. It's like video Photoshop, basically.
So you've tied. So when it comes to Tazers and music videos and production, do you take care of that, or do you still have a crew of friends that you go to?
I haven't really been able to completely flex my VFX abilities with the Tazers. I did edit the music video for Golden Girl, and I did edit the music video for Go Away. But I would there's a lot of ideas floating around in my head that I just wish I had more time, because it takes a lot of time to really execute like a really good VFX idea. And I'll eventually get to that, but right now I just want to concentrate on the drumming and the music writing, because that's what I do best with the Tazers and what I love the most. Absolutely.
So you were saying that Johannesburg is kind of the hub when it comes to rock in South Africa. What? Because I've never been. I've been very lucky to have been all over Canada, and I've seldom been anywhere in Europe. I've done a few other places like India and Mexico in my 34 years, but never South Africa. And it's always fascinated me when it comes to rock and roll. And you're saying you go there. So describe to me, guys, what is it like being in a rock band, or what is the South African music scene like in this moment?
So the thing is with Joburg, it's like probably the best rock scene. Maybe very close second would be Cape Town. I don't know if you've heard of Cape Town. But yeah, so basically there is like, it's not really like a mainstream scene. It's more or less underground, but it is like well supported. So like it's a relatively large underground scene. Obviously we have like really cool festivals that we've been able to play at. We've been fortunate enough to be booked for, which obviously means you make it a bit further in terms of mainstream, but it's still like the numbers compared to like something like house or in South Africa, like I'm a Piano or like R&B and hip hop, massive. Yeah.
What was that? Sorry, Tim.
The big festivals that you're aiming for, if you're a rock band and you want to play in South Africa, is Oppikoppi and Endless Days. Those are the two big ones you kind of want to aim for, and maybe Splashy Fen and Lush, and Millipop.
Millipop. There's a lot of small festivals as well, but yeah. So the main one.
Oppikoppi is the holy grail though, and we got to play it 3 times, which we were very, very happy about.
Twice. I love how ridiculous festival names are. They sound like fucking candy bars, chocolate bars. You know? It's because there's just so many when you think about it. You know, this is a whole new world to me in learning about that. It seems to me then that it's a real labor of love to try and be a rock band in South Africa. Is that what I'm getting here?
Yeah, like most of the gigs that we play, if I'm honest, like if we want to play shows that aren't festivals, we usually like putting on the events ourselves. That's why we have this whole like DIY aesthetic. Like if we want to play, let's just host our own shows, book our friends' bands, book our own band, and like have a cool party. And then we just have to market the shit out of it and make sure people are there. And it usually always works out. But like, yeah, there aren't enough like booking people or promoters, especially after COVID. Like there was like a cool underground scene moving, like called Uncle Mothers. They were doing rad shit. We would play that once every 3 months or so. That was starting to build a really strong network. But then obviously COVID came around and like fucked everything up. But yeah, even then, like Cape Town doesn't really have like psych nights anymore. Yeah, I think it's in need of like some serious like cash boosting to like uplift like some venues and just pump some money into like the entertainment industry, so that there's like more venues to play, there's more people that want to support, and it just creates a better like environment per se for people 100%. Wanting to go out.
I mean, like, look, if you want to be a rock musician in South Africa, you better have a day job.
Well,
basically.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What fascinates me, Tim, is that you're in 5 fucking bands, man. I mean, that must how do you stay grounded? Because it must play on you a little bit when you're like, I'm hustling the shit out of this. I'm in 5 bands. You know, I wouldn't have minded maybe a few more people at this show or a few more this and that and the other, and we're trying to get here. How are you keeping yourself grounded and still enjoying this when? Because we all have that subconscious lust to try and be recognized. Like, you know, when you're making art, you're an artist. You want people to see it and go, "Fuck yeah, this is what I love." So how do you do that across 5 bands when you've got to go and hustle that much?
Well, I mean, when it comes to like bands and playing in a lot of bands, I do prioritize. So I mean, like if I had to choose, if there was like one day where all the bands needed to do a show, Tazers would take priority. And maybe if it's Neyman would also be up there, and all the rest of the bands can kind of like get in line, because if they need me, so they can. There's other drummers, like they can make a plan. But I mean, it is a bit of a struggle. But again, like being in a rock band as well, there's not actually much to go around in terms of gigs, and you also pick your battles. So when like you're in a band like the Tazers, I mean, not to sound like arrogant or something, but we are like at the point where we're a little bit sought after now. So if there's a gig and we're like, look, it's a door deal, and we're likely to only make like a grand or so, which is not a lot in rands. It's our currency is pathetic. Then we don't do the gig, and we focus on making the gigs that we actually play like worth doing, and practice when we can. And it also helps. I'm actually very lucky in terms of the job I have. Like both my bosses who are partners, they both were in the music industry. So if I need to take off a day to go, to travel, to go to a festival or something, they'll be like, hell yeah, dude, hope you have a good time, that kind of thing. My colleague / boss, Alistair, he's actually in a band himself called Short Straw, and they do pretty well for themselves. They're like more indie vibes, but yeah, so it helps having people that understand that you're working for. And it also helps being in a creative industry where they understand that you want to be creative and kind of let you have that outlet as well.
Yeah, and just to give perspective to those watching, 1,000 rand is $80 Canadian. That's a no. Sorry, we're not coming out tonight. That's not gonna fucking do it.
Please pay more so that we can actually put petrol in the car to get to your show.
Exactly. But then, so I don't want to get too miserable here, but do you feel, I mean, I from my standpoint, sitting here looking at the streaming numbers, looking at the impact made, looking at this, that, and the other, is there not a potential itch to maybe get out of South Africa?
Well, yeah, this is some cool news. We're actually hitting Europe in April and May next year, which is very exciting. We've got like a booking agency that's planning a whole tour for us, obviously COVID willing, but yeah, that's our first step into like overseas waters, and then we're going to take it from there. Like Tim and I had a brief discussion a couple of weeks back where it's like, well, this is the start of many, we're not going to slow down. If like we can use South Africa as like a home base, is like, this is like our holiday territory, and then we just tour and make money like playing shows overseas, and then just come home and like write more music and slowly build on like what the Tazers can eventually work towards and be, Well,
the foundation is very much set. You've got great EPs and a great record under your belt. It's time to go and fucking show it off, baby. Simple as that. That's it. Just got to get out there.
Yeah.
Because I think people are gonna jive with it. I mean, I know with like in chat right now, Twitching and Steve and Perch Life and Jeremy, they all jive with it. I mean, this is it's the authenticity. It screams. And I think where we've gone through in this pandemic is that people, I always use this example, but that, there's shows like The Voice and Pop Idol and all this stuff where it's about the voice, it's not about the person, but it always becomes about the person and the look and the aesthetic. I think, and you look at the rise of TikTok and the rise of people that have seen their careers catapult, that had been grinding for years. And again, it's because they know what they're doing. It's the authenticity of it that shines through, and people want to connect with that. I think the Tazers are well set. It's going to be a slog. Rock and roll and touring is a slog. But I think that this is a band that deserves more than 80 rand for a fucking show. So,
well, thank you for the kind words, man.
Well, I mean it. I fucking love music, and I've listened to. I absolutely fit into your demographic of stoner rock lover who walks around with some wireless headphones on, doing my 420 steps and checking out your music. But no, it's because I'm glad that you didn't take that away of like, well, what do you mean? Because that's the delicate balance. It's like for musicians here in Canada, it's such a huge country. And if you want to tour this country, you need thousands upon thousands. I mean, when I was working in commercial radio 5 years ago, a young band came to me and said, can we ask your advice on this tour plan we've got? And I said, well, look, I work in radio, and I'm lucky to have conversations with people that might be able to help with this. I can direct you to someone, but I don't want to look through your monetary rundown of what you're going to do and how you're going to spend it to get where you want to go. But they basically spent $30,000 in getting an RV or renting a van and all the gear they needed, all top of the line. And they went out on their first ever tour and they came back bankrupt because there was no promo. They didn't attach themselves with any company to help promo in those cities. And it was devastating to see because there was potential there, but then the debt overhangs and the band is done because they're just, as humans, we're scared by money sometimes. I know that with me leaving my commercial job, which had a very comfortable wage, and going to no wage, absolutely it's been a mental battle. And still there's times when I'm tired, when I'm like, fuck, was this the right thing? But then you've got to believe in the art and the integrity and the soul of you, me in this instance, and you and your music, your vessel of the band in that essence. So
yeah,
it's you guys, yes, get out there. And I think Europe will gobble you up. I think in France, I think Germany, and I think Sweden and Norway right now, actually, every chat that I have with bands, as I fidget a lot and reposition in my chair here, I try and then spread word of other bands that I think they would be into to try and help connect the community of musicians around the world. And I think, and I'll email you this as well, but the Velveteers, who are a 3-piece from Colorado in America, you would adore them, I think.
Cool.
In terms of, I'll email it all, but Norway has got so many fascinating, incredible rock bands. I don't know what's going on. There's Pompoko, there's Combos, there's the Barren Womb. There's so many, and they've all got these ridiculous names as well that are great. But
there's another band you should check out if you're interested in that area. I think they're from Sweden or something. They're called Hollow Ship. They've only got like 5,000. Or maybe 500 even monthly listeners on Spotify, and they've been blowing my mind lately. Also, just insane band. It's actually wild how many amazing bands there are out there now that have barely any listeners, and they're just doing it for fun, which is, I think, kind of what one of the strengths of our band is that we, because we're forced to find other ways of earning money, the music is primarily a soul enriching thing rather than a wallet enriching thing. So we focus on the happiness the band gives us, and if the band, pretty much if we weren't happy playing with the band, it would be over. But because we love it so much and because we enjoy each other's company so much, I mean, we're best fucking friends. And you'll see when we play live, we are literally looking at each other every 10 seconds being like, oh my God, this is so much fun. Laughing at each other. When there's mistakes, we'll laugh at each other, we'll rib each other. It's not about the seriousness of like, oh my God, if we fuck this up, we don't have a paycheck kind of thing. It's all about enriching our emotions and our souls first, which sounds really cheesy, but it's
no, not cheesy at all. That's the way it is. It's rock and roll. Just let loose. That's what rock and roll is. And I've seen a few performances on YouTube, and you're right when you say every 10 seconds. It could be 9 if we're being particular, but it's true that the three of you just get locked into it. And I know that when you first connected Jethro before Tim came in, and I was just checking if it's 1, 2, or 3, and etc. And you had said that Guido had decided that he no longer wanted to be in the band, and I said, well, we don't have to touch on this if you don't want to. But you were like, no, we're still solid. How would you like to address that?
So basically, I think there's a number of reasons, but through the lockdown, Guido just lost his passion for writing music, for like pushing, because obviously we like being in a band from South Africa, if we want to like if we want to reach the goals we want to reach, we have to work fucking hard to do it, especially if we want to go overseas and like put out quality records. It's not like as easy as, oh, let's just fucking do this and then it's done. Like there's a lot of planning, there's a lot of like hard slog, and like we do get irritated with each other, and there's always all these like factors that are at play. And I think through the lockdown, kind of having like a third perspective, because obviously we weren't really active for a long time because we couldn't fucking leave our houses. Guido just kind of realized that his passions were elsewhere and he wanted to pursue like his financial career, and like good for him. Like Tim and I are both like really stoked for the fact that he was honest about his decision, and we respect it. And yeah, I think he's going to move to Berlin next year. So
holy shit,
he's not going to be in South Africa. But it's all good, you know, like we're still friends. There's no like bad feelings. It's all like super chilled. We're playing our last show with him on Saturday, actually, which is probably going to be like super emotional. But at the same time, like, it's one of those things, you know, you got to like, okay, cool. Like it sucks, but you got to move on. I'm like, Tim and I are never going to stop making music together. So we'll find another fucking bassist and we'll be back at it in no time. So it's really chilled.
Well, I mean, as I said 15 minutes ago, honesty is the best policy. It's so difficult when your mind's going one way and you don't know how to converse it and to communicate it. And yeah, for the sake of the friendships here, and I'm glad that you all had that conversation. Tim, how many cats do you have? Just so we're clear.
It's only one.
Okay, I'm just wondering if you've got someone else in the room who's enjoying our conversation.
The same cat the whole time. This is Eric.
Right. Hi, Eric.
And surprisingly enough, this isn't the cutest one.
Right.
And then Mitzi's around somewhere.
Okay. I'm not sure. I got Theo here, but I don't think he usually lies on.
I saw him.
I'm gonna get my cat quick.
Oh, for Christ's sake! It's a cat off.
We're gonna have a little cat off here.
Who has the best cat? Will it be Tim, Jethro, or John? Or Tim's partner in the background?
Jaggy. This Jaggy. I mean, Jag is just adorable.
Say something, Jethro, so that Zoom flicks back to you.
Hello. This is Jag. He's very sleepy right now.
Yeah, he's just very much in the what are you fucking doing? Just complete arms, legs stretched out. Yeah, Theo usually sits next to me the whole way through an interview and then starts sassing all my guests and then jumps down and fucks off. But there you go. I couldn't tell if Tim had frozen or if you've just been locked in that embrace.
I've just turned into a cat.
Oh, Theo, where are you? Come on, man.
What a
He's letting you down, bro. He's letting you down hard.
There is no winner in this contest because all cats on show were wonderful. Well, that's fucking boring. There should always be a winner
in the making of this podcast.
Yeah. No, it's now I'm sidetracked by cats, but no. Thanks for sharing that about Guido. I mean, Tim, you better strap in then, because if you're making music for life, there you go. That's how that goes now, according to Jethro. But
I'm completely on board with Jethro. If Jethro ever puts down a guitar, I'm going to take some very special headphones that he won't feel in his sleep, and I'm going to just put them on his head and just indoctrinate him with some new music and get him to play again. That's what I'll do.
No, you don't feel compelled to record a very eerie and whispery voice note that you can play on loop? Just, you know,
Jethro,
don't leave us.
Music with me.
That's a little bit creepy, but cool.
You look so good whilst you're sleeping. When you wake up, we should make music together. Don't leave.
We've been making a lot more than just rock together as well. We've made a little bit of trip hop as well, which is quite fun. Jethro's come up with the most amazing alias for trip hop, but I don't want to reveal it. I don't want to reveal it because
someone will steal it if I say it.
Someone will steal it. It's the best name. Hey, it's Theo.
There's Theo for you. Say hello.
Nice. Hello,
yes.
Theo.
Hello. Do you want to go on your bed?
What a sweetie.
There we go. He's going to jump down. There you go. Pardon me. No, sorry, you were saying trip hop. Theo interrupted. Classic.
Oh yeah. So I mean, we love the Gorillaz. Jethro and I are quite big Gorillaz fans. Although I got introduced to Gorillaz by Tom, the guy that we played in Hey Bang Dead with. In fact, Jethro and I fantasize like at least once a week about playing music with Tom again, because he is a musical fucking genius. And yeah, we miss that band a lot.
Any chance you could send an email and combine? Or is that done?
Yeah, we talk all the time. It's just that we're in different cities. Tom's just moved to Cape Town now, so he's actually in the big city for once, which I'm very glad about, because he needs to start playing music for people again. He was living in some other like port city that had no music scene whatsoever. So I'm glad he's not playing for hippies in the forest anymore.
That's where he's cutting his craft in the forest, you know.
Yeah. He's doing the whole electronic DAW-less music. So he's making electronic music but with sequencers and synthesizers, which is quite fascinating. He keeps showing me new additions to his rig, and it's quite fascinating. I would love to incorporate that into some psychedelic music. It'd be fun.
Yeah, big time. I think you just smoke a joint, walk in, move some cables around, and say, "Fucking hit play." And he's like, "No, you're fucking the whole thing up, don't you?" But it's going to make a great sound. It's going to make a great sound, man. Yeah, Jody, my partner, just saying in the chat, I want to hear all of this stuff so bad, which then leads me to what I was going to ask you once this was done. But one of the things on whatwasthatradio.com is the Discover portal, and it's not reinventing the wheel. It's just so What Was That Radio is nothing older than 5 years. Now, 90% of the music is all based around modern rock or modern alternative that's no older than 24 months. So it's just you dive in and you just constantly learn of new, exciting modern rock. And when you go to whatwasthatradio.com/discover, there is the song of the week. There is the entire station is playlisted. There's the new music for every Friday. And then there's also artists recommending artists. And I would love if you guys would consider across the next week or so sitting down and just compiling a list as long as you feel. It could be 5 bands, could be 10 bands. I usually ask for 3 to 5. And just a little write up a few sentences of why this band is sweet and people need to know about. I mean, you've already given me 10 during this. It would be sweet to get that noted down, and then in turn it allows me to put you on a pedestal for those that come to the website as well, which, let's be frank, is fleeting. This is a growing situation, but I would really appreciate that. I mean, what I usually do is dive into, okay, what were the last 5 tours this band went on, and then what, like a spider web, what are all the bands involved in that, and then which ones maybe speak to me. So yeah, I would love for you to compile what you've been throwing at me, because you're getting us all a bit excited here for getting a bit vibey.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can even throw in some like unreleased stuff, like some of the trip hop stuff Tim and I have been working on. Yeah, I don't mind sharing that with you and the fans. Also, I don't know how we can't really release any new Tazers stuff. Just because
that's okay. No, that's going to go through its process. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not looking for give me all your exclusives and let me empty your pockets. I'm just
no, I understand. I'm just saying. But we do have a lot of cool bands. Maybe even a South African spotlight where we highlight some of our favorite local bands. Will also be cool.
You know, I've got 3 off the top of my head.
That would be sweet, because then. If I fall for them like you've fallen in love with them, then we can play the merry-go-round of going and chatting with all of them, and then maybe we all come back together and have a big get-together in 6 months and get 3 or 4 bands into a chat. That would be pretty sweet.
That would be amazing.
Play off each other. Okay, well, so let's go back again. Plastic Kids, 2 years. Holy shit. Yes, fuck, it's done. Finally. We're proud of this, but my God, what a process. Skip forward now to the last few weeks. All these new songs done. So what is the next step? So you're saying all the instrumental is recorded. Now, Jethro, you've got to go in and do vocal, or you've already done that with some?
So yeah, we basically finished all of the vocals in, like, I would say not even 2 sessions. I'd say like 1.5 sessions. spent like one evening on it, basically. Also like a Tuesday night, I think it was. Finished like 3 songs, and then I did the previous 2 songs like by myself just at home, because I've got a sound card in my living room basically, and I've got like studio monitors, so I do everything basically from home and like completely DIY. So yeah, I mean, the vocals are done now, so now it's really just like mixing and adding like final touches, maybe like a tambourine here or like a shaker there, or maybe like you hear a new harmony, you just like quickly record that or lay it down. But it's pretty much done. It just needs to be mixed and like produced. Yeah.
And will you take care of the mixing and finalizing as well, or you ship that off to someone else?
No, I do all of that. So yeah, it's like one of the most exciting parts about it, because I can like visualize the song in my head and put the sound palettes to like what my head is hearing almost.
Yeah, Tim's got a big smile on his face as you say that. Is there anything that
I
go on,
have
Tim.
to say, just for the record, so that everyone knows, I think Jethro is the most badass producer around, and if people need a producer, they should ask Jethro, because he's incredible.
Well, so let's dive into that. I was going to ask, what is your style of production? Because that's one thing that I've noticed that I adore about the Tazers, is that you leave that space, but yet it doesn't seem hollow. I mean, yes, I cheekily made the reverb comment earlier, but it's not overused. But you have that very clearly throwback energy of, no, let's just get everything positioned and equalized in its right place. Nothing's going to overpower, but it'll all come together when it needs to. You play with the discordancy and how different solos at the end of the songs might play with each other to the fade out. What is your style then? How did you learn to produce, and what would you say is the Jethro style of production?
Sure, that's a very interesting question. So I think like my production techniques were like, they started when I started like playing guitar. I also started fooling around with a software called Reason, which is mainly like electronic music. And I started like writing a lot of like my own electronic music. And then obviously I studied sound engineering, and I'm a qualified sound engineer. So there is that like technical background with it. But through the years, I've just learned like a whole bunch of like really unique production techniques, mixing techniques, and just like little things here and there that kind of all added up to like what the Tazers sound is and how it became. But I'd say, especially with regards to the Tazers, I have a very like 70s aesthetic. Like I wanted to sound old school, and like I definitely add like mixing flares that make things sound more like analog, even though they're not. So like one of the things I always do is like add like a vinyl pop in the like background of the mix. And it's just like, it's something so small, but it really like, to me, like makes a massive difference to like the overall sound and quality of that mix. And obviously in terms of like the way everything is EQ'd, like there's a wholesome energy about analog records from like the 60s and 70s that you don't necessarily hear in modern music anymore. And the way I'm mixing is like, I'm trying to bring that back with the Taser sound while still maintaining like a modern like mix aesthetic. Even though I want it to sound old school, it still has to like be good enough to be like modern. So it's kind of like a balancing act between the two. But yeah, that's pretty much like my technique.
And when you put
if
the
there's
vinyl,
anything I've noticed from when I watched Jethro mix and have had a look at his sessions and stuff, a lot of people nowadays love compression because it just makes everything so fucking loud. I've noticed Jethro is quite gentle with that. That adds quite an old school feel to it as well, because I mean, in the old days, if you wanted to absolutely slap your compressor, you're almost, using up the life of the thing, and you might break it. And people now, it's all digital, so you can absolutely slam them, put so much gain into your compressors. Everything sounds loud and huge by default, but I think it takes a lot more finessing to make things sound mixed and all level and stuff. So yeah, from my perspective of Jethro's mixing style, it's gentle with compression and very specific with EQ.
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that, Tim, because that stands out. That's why the guitars have got this rich texture that isn't distorted. I mean, it's not that you hear on a lot of modern rock records distorted guitar. It's just that they've been compressed to that high end that it sounds like it's distorted. And especially then, depending what device you listen to it on, it's going to sound almost wishy-washy on your iPhone, you know, whatever they call them, AirPods. I don't wear them. I think that's showing. Yeah. So, but what fascinates me, Jethro, is when you put in the vinyl pop, which is so cool. Are you saying you're leaving an underlying crackle the whole way through, just hidden down there, or you put and then certain accents? That's fucking sweet, man.
It's pretty much like throughout. It's just one of the things I do on Tazers. It's like it'll always be there. It's funny because like if you buy like a vinyl record, you're technically hearing double of that now because it like already has and it's got it on the fucking mix. So technically I should be doing like 2 mix downs. One where it's like for all streaming platforms and all the like digital broadcasting stuff where that'll have the vinyl crackle, and then another mix down, which is for the vinyl master, which doesn't have that because it's obviously going to have it already. But I left it in for the vinyl masters anyway. And it's kind of still cool, I guess.
Yeah, well, the chat's saying that's really fucking cool, says Jody. I mean, that's something as well that I'd love to orchestrate with you now that I cheekily didn't do before, just due to waiting to speak with you. There's no hidden agenda there, but I'd love to buy some, because one thing that we do, oh gosh, that reminds me, it's Tuesday. I've not announced what this week's contest is. So what I try and do again with that foundation money is, after connecting with bands, buy a bunch of their merch and then give it away to the community. So I would love to orchestrate getting some signed vinyl from you guys. Is there any left over there?
Yes, yeah.
We're actually sitting on a lot, so yeah,
okay.
I can definitely organize that.
Well, I would love to buy.
Go grab one and show them. There's one.
I'd love to buy.
As I recall, the last time I was at your house, there was one sitting on your couch.
Okay, sweet. I've seen the promo shots and whatnot online, but yeah, I'd love to get 5 copies signed, and then Jody and I keep a copy, and then we give away 4, just to be clear. Yeah,
all
I love
right,
it.
So this is what the vinyl cover looks like. It's got the back as well. I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah, my favorite color is purple, so I'm loving the purple and pinks in there. Who designed the front?
This is the red.
Yeah.
It's like a clear red, so you can kind of see through it, but not really. Yeah, and it's obviously double.
It's a blue one as well, and there's only 150 of those. So
of the red ones.
If we do repress, we'll do it with a different color vinyl. So
lovely. Well, we'll probably go after the limited ones then, the Wuzzers, as we're known as the Wuzzers.
Oh, I mean, those are the only ones available. So yeah.
Okay, sweet.
But Guido actually, Guido designed that cover, and he went through hell trying to make that. He would send us like almost like every week for like 2 months. He'd be like, "What do you think about this?" And we'd be like, "Nah." "What do you think about this?" "Nah." And like he took so many no's, so much rejection from us in terms of the design for the album. It was like the ultimate example of tenacity in terms of like just yeah, he's really good at taking criticism. That like, we're gonna miss Guido for sure. He's a solid guy. There's the blue vinyl.
Yeah, say something, Jethro. So Zoom skips up with you.
This is the blue one.
I got to sort out a new template design so that I can have it so that when I have multiple guests, we can see all faces at once. But right now, it's you see me. I've got 2 cameras. I've got the webcam, which is really wide, and I've got the more uptight that you'll see in post when I link you the chat before it goes live. You'll see it's a little bit different, but yeah, no, definitely we're going to buy 5 of those. So I'll just we'll email that and talk about that, converse afterwards, and send the money over later on and get that going.
Awesome, sweet, bro.
Yeah, and then we've got to get it mailed to Canada somehow and see how long it fucking takes, and then enjoy when it gets here. I can't wait to put it on the record player behind me and just now to Harley, Jody's son, who's 7, my partner Jody. I'll get to say, "Oh, listen out for the crackle, Harley, because you're going to hear 2. There's going to be the actual
going to be too much vinyl crackle."
Yeah, and we'll probably just call it the Crackle Band or something. We'll see how it goes. We'll let you know. No, fabulous. No, I just I didn't know it earlier, Tim. If you were you drinking out of a Coke bottle, or did you just ditch the glass for the wine? I couldn't.
No. This is actually grapefruit juice with sparkling water, mixed with sparkling water.
Oh, okay.
It's really tasty, very refreshing.
Is that the bottle that's blue at the bottom, or is it a bit moldy?
No, it's one of the. It's just the SodaStream bottle.
Oh, okay, I'm with you now. Sorry. Yeah, I don't really watch TV, but I remember one of those commercials popping up on YouTube a few years ago, and I should have known better, Tim. I should have known that was a SodaStream. I'm sorry. No disrespect to Mo.
I just finished my wine, otherwise I'd be drinking my wine.
Eggy Lord in chat just said, yes, stellar drink choice. Loving that. All right. See?
Mix a little bit of vodka or gin and you're away.
There you go, yeah.
Tuesday night, what a bender.
Yeah, well, I mean, how have you found, I mean, I did do a quick check before we started the chat today just to see, I usually do dive into the last 5 or 6 conversations people have with anyone that's interested, but do you find that you're getting more interest from outside of South Africa than inside?
Definitely much more interest from people overseas. I mean, to be honest, Spotify has honestly like skyrocketed the Tazers to like new levels just because their algorithms like favor us heavily for a South African band. Like they're pushing us as if we were like a European band.
Yeah.
Through that, we've just had like so many connections. That's how we got our European agency. That's how they contacted us. They wanted to work for us. We've got like label deals. Our song was featured on Shameless. That was also through Spotify. So it's all like basically built from that, which is like pretty insane because like, whereas before we'd just be like, okay, cool, let's play Oppie Copy. And like, that would be like the peak of our career, you know? But now, because it's such a global market and Spotify just like bridges that gap, it feels like our connections are so much closer, even though they're on the other side of the world. Like it's so easy for them to reach us just because it's like, okay, cool, there's a way for them to see who we are and connect with us that isn't like Facebook or Instagram, you know? They can find us on Spotify and be like, okay, cool, this is the band, you know?
Well, that's fascinating because from my perspective, really Spotify is 1, 2, 3 steps away from being the biggest record label in the world. I mean, who have you conversed with? Did you just find out you were on a playlist and then the ball started rolling, emails started coming in? Did someone from Spotify contact you and say, this is dope, we put you on this? How does that work?
I think Tim will tell the story better because he knows Reddit.
Yeah. So it was really strange, actually. I'd literally just started using Reddit. It's actually an incredible website. I really do believe them when they say it's the front page of the internet. But there's a Reddit page called r/listen to this. And I mean, if you want your music discovered, if you can get to the top of r/listen to this, even just for a day, it's a massive boost. And we got to the top of r/listen to this for like a week. And it was our EP Love Machine. And within a week, we just had regular Spotify listeners. Our music was already on Spotify. We had just used Ditto as a distribution. We just paid for distribution on all the streaming platforms, and we didn't really care much about Spotify. I used Ditto. I used Deezer, which is the other one, and I thought that was the streaming platform to be on. And it turns out Spotify we were just cranking out the streams. We also got featured on. It also helped that we got featured on a YouTube channel called Stone Meadow of Doom. This dude Clive. It turned out to be like really favorable for us, and it worked out for a while. We got like 20,000 streams in like a week on there because that was the link that was linked on Reddit, and then that directed people to Spotify, and people followed us, and it just kind of skyrocketed from there. The Stone Meadow of Doom thing, if you look for us on YouTube now, you won't find us on that channel, mainly because we disavowed the guy because he had a bit of racist tendencies and all his followers were very much dog whistlers. So I'm glad we're not associated with him anymore. That Reddit feature at the top of that page really helped us out, and that it's just kind of gotten better from there. And yeah, I think we were on 1.5 million streams now with the single from that EP, which is called Wake Up.
So then I love that context. Thank you, Tim. So then in terms of any connection with, sorry, I'm getting self-conscious and noticing that I need to trim my mustache because it looks like it's been dragged through a hedge backwards. Anyway, side note, when it comes to Spotify though, how does that world work? Have you had contact with anyone there? I mean, like I know Alison, I forget her last name now, Alison Hedgen something. She runs rock for Spotify. Have you spoken with anyone directly from Spotify? No,
not really. Hey, it's all been, I mean, the closest we've gotten to actually speaking with anyone from a streaming platform is we signed with Ditto to release our latest EP, Dream Machine.
Yeah,
and they're not necessarily a streaming platform; they're a distribution platform that helps people get onto the streaming platforms. And even then, they only focus on Africa, and we really wanted people to, we really wanted them to promote us overseas. If we could speak with someone directly from Spotify, that would be amazing. Although the first thing I'd probably say to them is, pay us more per stream, you fucking bastard.
Yeah, I would be right there with you. I would be right there with you. At the start of what was that? You know, I had gone. Just because this is a topic that I really want to maybe sink into a bit here. When I left commercial radio, I really wrestled with, do I want to playlist anything? Do I want What Was That to be a standalone discovery, which would be really difficult for people to find unless there's some really good advertising and shrewd advertising at that? Or do I want to join a little bit with the system? Now, at the time, 13 months ago, this is when there was that heightened chat where in England, for example, there are record label heads being dragged into the Commons to talk with the Parliament and the government about why is this the case. And then the head of Sony saying, our artists are very, very happy with the £3 per year they earn. We don't want to give them any more because I would get less. That's not a verbatim quote, but he may as well have just said, fuck everyone, give me the cigar and get out of my office. But anyway, it fascinates me because I initially didn't want to play with that. But then at the same time, you know, Reddit, for example, Tim, I'm glad that you shared that because I've been umming and ahhing, like, I don't know if I want to get involved in that. But the more that I've researched it the last year, there's a whole new world in there for people to connect and discover. So
yeah,
with Spotify, I eventually decided 6 months ago, I'm going to playlist everything. I'm going to have my Song of the Week playlist that will grow by one song a week. I'll have my, here are what if you go to What Was That, that's the 100 newest songs that I think are fucking awesome every week in around modern alt. And then whether it's Jody, my partner, or Josiah, who also have shows on the station. So it's all there because then at the same time, the attitude and the energy I want What Was That to have is that the listener, the consumer will come in and go at their own leisure. If anyone gives me half an hour, I know that in that half an hour, commercial free, they're going to learn of potentially 14 new bands. In the hour, they're going to hear potentially 30. So I wanted to give people the option after getting feedback from my audience and subscribers, and many of them watching and listening right now, in them saying, but sometimes it's a song that doesn't jive with me and I wish I could keep skipping through what you've curated. So I was like, do you know what? Okay, I will dive into that. But then that's what fascinates me is that Spotify in the last year have really been making a point of, here are the people that are propelling these bands. Here are the faces behind the building of this playlist. I don't know if that's part of just, they're proud, obviously, of the great work they've done, or if it's to try and distract from the conversation about monetary earnings and income for bands in the first place. But there's no doubting that Spotify has propelled bands like yourself into a whole new realm of connection.
Yeah, there's definitely like this weird play on, like, I mean, it's an age-old thing about, oh, do this for free and we'll give you exposure. And
yeah,
everyone loves to rag on exposure and be like, yeah, I can't pay my rent with exposure. Pay me fucking money.
Yeah.
But exposure does count towards making more money. And if you have the luxury, well, this is the thing now, is that model of exposure really, and this sounds shitty, but it favors privileged people in terms of a band of guys who have, say, day jobs, or a band of kids who live at their parents' house, who have rich parents who can buy them nice guitars and pay for studio time for them to go record an awesome record. But there's other people out there who only care about music and only want to do that can't pay their rent, because Spotify, the whole model is completely broken. I mean, I did the math myself the other day. I tried to say, I looked at how many artists there are on Spotify, and I think there's something like 14 million artists. And then I tried to look at how much revenue Spotify brought in over the last 4 years. And I divided the revenue with the amount of artists if everyone got an equal amount, which is unrealistic because there are artists that play way more and artists that get played way less. But if we were to equally distribute it between everyone, each artist would earn $4,000 over 4 years. And that, to me, even when you consider the fact that some artists get millions of streams and some artists get a pittance, it doesn't feel fair to me. It just, the model is wrong. Like, if you think about it, when you bought a CD or a record, you paid something like, well, like in South Africa, if you wanted to buy a CD, you'd probably pay about 400 Rand. You'd probably pay about like $15 or like somewhere around there. And then you get to listen to the album for the rest of time because you own it and it's in your car. And you listen to that album again and again and again and again because that's the album you bought. And the model that iTunes had was great because you buy the album and then you can stream it on your library whenever you want. But Spotify was like, fuck this, let's just let people pay a subscription fee. But if you think about it, it is the fucking best, it's the deal of the century. Paying, I pay 69 Rand a month to listen to any artist, basically any artist I want. I can listen to the Beatles, the Stones, all of their albums. If I were to buy every single album that I listen to on Spotify, I'd be broke. I'd be utterly broke. So it's amazing that everyone can listen to these albums for like a fraction of the price, but then you're also cheapening the albums because that model would not work in a vacuum. It would just utterly not work. Musicians would not be a thing if Spotify was the only way we listen to music. And I think Spotify needs to reevaluate that in terms of like, you know, if you're gonna have such a low fee to listen to all albums over all time, I think they should still do ads. I mean, I hate ads, but if we could just have a system where it's like, okay, if you want to listen to this album without having to listen to ads, you're gonna have to buy this album, pay another $5, and you get to listen to our whole discography, you know. And at least then the earning is directly, there's a direct line to the artist. Because right now, people are paying for all music over all time with this pittance of money, when we could be directing that little bit. They could even just with that little bit, they could be like, okay, what artists are they listening to? Let's make sure that money that person paid for their subscription goes to only the artists that they listen to, and is not divided over 14 million artists. The whole model just seems utterly broken to me.
Well said. And then the other thing that bums me out is that Daniel Ek, who started it and owns it, is trying to buy Arsenal Football Club for £1 billion. You know, it's like, if you started this passionate project of supporting musicians, it's pretty clear. All due respect, I don't know, I never met him, would love to chat with him, don't think that's ever going to happen. But for me, I imagine that he started Spotify because he was galvanized by music. He fucking loved music. He wanted to elevate and connect and have a 100%. One-stop shop. But here we are all these years later, and he's like, well, instead of actually backing these artists and putting more money in their pockets and having more parties as they're able to afford, going all over the world and connecting with these fans that are streaming them all over this universe of what we call the earth. No, I tell you what, I'll put that in my back pocket and I'm going to go and jump into buying a football club, because that's what the elite do. They buy into sports and they literally hemorrhage fucking money on a guy that's, you know, and then that's what would suck so much about if he did buy it, is then he's going to pay 200 grand a week to a soccer player, when then all of the musicians around the, I mean, how is anyone going to buy? That's what does my fucking head in with that. And
it is his own money, and he can do what he fucking wants with it. And again, like, if we do that calculation again, so I tried to incorporate, what if we took the money that he earns as a CEO and put it in the kitty so that we could distribute it to the rest of the artists? It added something like $10 per artist over 4 years. So, I mean, even though he's earning this giant sum of money, it's the system that's broken.
Yeah.
Ideally, if you wanted to pay artists correctly per stream, it would cost something like $1,000 per user per month if you wanted to be able to stream any music you want at any time, wherever you are. That's what it should cost, but it doesn't, and now we're forced to do that. Here's the thing now. You can't not be on Spotify. You can't. As a band.
Much money for streaming.
What was that, Jethro?
People can't afford to pay that much money for streaming. So, like, their whole model is based on the fact that it's affordable and you can listen to whatever you want, whenever you want. So, provided you have internet or you've pre-downloaded the songs, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Here's
the thing. Yeah.
Sorry. Just to interrupt before we go on a crazy tangent here, I had
Oh, Jethro's frozen.
Oh no!
Oh no, you're back, Jethro. You froze for a sec there.
Okay. As much as I agree that the model is broken, like, there are certain things about Spotify that definitely works, and they work for the benefit of the artist. Especially like in terms of, if I take Tazers and look at it as a whole and look at us and how much we've grown, it's all because of Spotify, mostly, at least 90% of it. And as much as, yes, I wish we were getting paid more per streams and the whole like system worked better to benefit the artists, like, there are a lot of good factors about Spotify that I think work really well. Like, the algorithms are definitely favorable for artists. If you get discovered, like, it's easy to get discovered again. And there's just like a lot of good factors that come with Spotify. But at the same time, the payment system and the whole like revenue thing is broken. So it's kind of like a catch-22, because like, if I had the choice to be like, okay, if I could just delete Spotify and its whole platform, if I could do that, I still wouldn't, because like, it's still beneficial to be in a band and be on Spotify and still get a little bit less streaming money, but still gain more fans through the algorithm and all the other things that it does for bands and artists that are on the platform. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, and to be clear, and Tim brought me back down to earth after my passionate spiel there. Yes, it is Daniel's personal money that's going towards potentially buying a football club with investors. Absolutely. He's not going to just drop it out of his pocket, but I'm of that old school ilk of you lead by example. And so if he just made, if he was like, every 5 years, I'm going to throw 50% of my wage back into the, there's a company in Seattle who I forget their name, who made waves a few years ago, and the CEO said, everyone's going to earn the same wage. And then everything I earn, every few years, I'm going to split 50-50 and pump it right back into the community and the families that helped me grow this. And now it's one of the biggest companies in Seattle. And again, terribly and rudely, frustratingly, I forget the name of that. So I adore that.
I remember reading about that.
Yeah, that old school, there's a lot to be said for how confidence can bring a room together and then lead a room outside. I think sometimes if you're looking at buying a football club, you're like, well, boom, look, this is a whole different investment. This is not all my money, but I'm still going to throw a bit of my own earnings back into the pot, support the bands, because I blah, 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 words that don't exist in a moment that won't come, because that's how the systems go, is that we're always going to be yearning for just a little tweak and change, but then we're not in Adele's position, where Adele just 2 days ago says, oi, stop fucking shuffling my album, let it play song by song the way I wrote it, and they've changed the whole rule. That shuffle is gone now.
That is badass. That is so badass that she could change that in 2 days. That just shows you her star power. She's absolutely insane. That blows my mind.
So imagine
with Taylor Swift,
right?
Actually,
these are the kind of people, when you're going back to earlier, that what it boils down to sometimes is maybe who's at the top of the chain. Well, here are two powerhouse women who have dominated the industry incredibly well across 10, 15 years nearly. Let's get more of those people in a room and say, well, look, let's just sculpt and shape it a little bit more, because it's those voices that will carry the most weight, sadly, and no disrespect to any of us in this conversation. If Adele rings up Daniel and says, Daniel, fuck, I'm a Tottenham fan, you're trying to buy our biggest rival Arsenal, change the shuffle. All right, we'll meet in the middle.
I do feel like instead of buying an entire stadium and paying a bunch of fucking overpaid footballers, he could have opened like 3 awesome venues, and gotten and made places for bands to tour to, or opened a studio for underprivileged like kids who want to learn music. Or he definitely, look, here's the thing, it's like, even though it's his money and he can do whatever the fuck he wants with it, it's him in our field of view, and we can say whatever the fuck we want about him.
Yeah.
Frankly, he's a dickhead about it. It's a lot of money. A billion what, pounds?
Yeah, the team have said they won't even consider it at that, but yeah.
It's mine. I couldn't earn that over my entire lifetime. I would have to work like 10 lifetimes to even earn a fraction of that.
Yeah.
Blows my mind. I drank too much. I need to go to the bathroom. You, Jethro, you keep this.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, I've had 5 cups of tea during this chat too, so I'm getting there. But you've already given me so much time. It's awesome. We've been going for an hour and 15 minutes at this point, Jethro.
Oh, great. I literally haven't even looked at the time once, to be honest. It's been a good conversation.
Well, for me, it's because I had an incredible chat a few weeks ago and forgot to hit record. And so now I am every 3 seconds checking my bottom right panel to see, yes, still recording, recording. But yeah, I mean, we could talk about Spotify till we're blue in the face. That's the thing, though, is it brings a lot of good and it leaves a lot of room for discussion. And I think most systems have that involved. That's just the way it goes. But yeah, it's been a wonderful time getting to know you both. I mean, is there anything that you feel that I could have asked, that I could have prodded into? Because I adore the context, Jethro. I love that you shared the crackle bit. What are other bits in your production that you want to reveal that seems different? Do you use let's compare it actually, Jethro. Let's go, okay, compared to Plastic Kids and this new EP, are there certain things that you've added to your arsenal? I'm not to say Arsenal so many times in the last 10 minutes. I'm talking about an actual, not a football club now, but are there new toys that you added to it?
Yeah, mixing Arsenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely. So I played Tim and Guido the first like rough mixes of the stuff last week, Monday, because I had some time to just work on like getting them to sound relatively good without spending too much time on them. And both of them, like their feedback was basically just, they love how raw it sounds and they want to keep that like aesthetic, because usually when I mix, I tend to like get really involved, and then sometimes I can go like a little bit too far and then like take the song to like a whole new level, which kind of kills its like authenticity as well. So yeah, I think with this new one, I'm actually going to try to take a couple steps back and keep it as like raw and as authentic as possible, with just like slight nuances of like, I really like filters. So I always slap like a filter on the drums at certain parts. So in terms of doing like a cool roll or something, and then I like filter the EQ up or down just to like create a bit bigger of a crescendo. So yeah, I'm gonna still do that, but with a bit more flair, maybe as like a send, as opposed to like over the whole channel. You just like add a filter over it instead of like take everything away and like just EQ it like that. But other than that, I think like vocals will be pretty raw. This EP is a lot more like psychedelic, so there'll probably be like delay and reverb as well on the vocals, which I'm super excited for, because it's like, that's kind of the direction that Tazers is going. We're just like writing more and more like psychedelic rock music, which I fucking love. So it works for the mixing because I can like really play around with the vocals and like tweak automations. Like my whole thing is my project files look like a fucking mountain race, or like, I don't know if you ever played that game called Lino, where you like draw a line and then like that sled rider would like ride the line that you drew. Like I'd love to like convert all of my automations from the project into Lino and see like how this dude rides, because it'd be insane. All like the lines and like weird stuff that like happen.
I kind of picture, Tim might like this, but I kind of picture the new EP starting with a really trippy drum solo that you just accent with all the use of filtering. I mean, that is something that I noticed a lot in 2 or 3 of my favorite songs, was that, and it's like the way you exactly just described, Jethro, for lack of repeating back to you what you just did. But yeah, do you ever... Because it's interesting when I talk to bands, you know, some bands, they love to record. Like when I was in a band, we recorded every single jam, every single gig, every single second of everything. Do you have, do you just let it go, or do you just refine and then note down or record the particular riffs or songs that you like to then expand on?
Sure. That's a good question. I mean, we have definitely been more actively like recording jams. I know Tim records a lot of his stuff. Because he like puts his phone by the window and then like records some of his fills, so you can like watch what he did and like play it back, I guess. But for me, like when I'm learning songs and stuff, like a solo is always going to be different, so I never ever like play the solo the same, unless it's like a very specific solo. So when we like record or jam, like sometimes we jam and the solo will come out and I'll be like, fuck, I really wish we recorded that, because like that was probably the best solo I'll play over the song. But it's like it gets lost in the effort. And then when we like recording guitars, then I'll just like write a specific solo for that song, and that'll be like the new best solo. Because I obviously like can't remember what the fuck I played like months ago. But yeah, that's pretty much the vibe, I guess.
Well, what are some songs that you've got a specific... Sorry to speak over you, but just so I don't lose this one, but what are some songs that you specifically do go back to the fixed solo?
So one of the songs live that I play almost identical is Go Away. That solo is like embedded in my soul.
I know the whole thing.
Yeah. Should we compare that to the real thing quickly? Let's just do that quickly. Let's just compare that to the real thing. What are we at, like 1 minute and 38 in it? Is it? So where is it? Here it comes. Be with you in a sec. Yeah, it's fucking brilliant. It's so good. And Tim, I'll give you an 8 out of 10 on that for sure, mate. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
like my system fucking matters. But yeah, no, that was sweet.
Yeah, so I think that song's identical. Another song I play the same solo more or less. At least like 80% of it is Abominable. What else? I don't know. I think
I wrote that solo.
Golden Girl as well is more or less the same. Yeah, fuck. I think most of the others are just like ad lib and just go mal.
Yeah, Dream Machine. There's this part where everything goes silent, and Jethro plays a guitar solo, and I never know when to come back in. So it's just like a bit of a guessing game. And sometimes live, I'll just all of a sudden, all of the rest of the band members will look at me like, dude, can you like get us out of this now, please? Because it's my cue. I'm like, wait, but Jethro's not finished.
There's only fucking 3 of you, Tim.
No, sometimes we get another friend of ours, Dean, to play some extra guitar, which is quite nice. But,
okay, sweet. Yeah.
But I really love that little extra element of like chaos and novelty, especially live. I love to surprise people. You know, they hear a song and then I think with the drums as well. Like there are some fills that I definitely feel I do live that I'm like, oh my God, I'll probably never be able to do that again. I don't know what I just did. It just came out of my fucking body.
Yeah.
Great feeling.
That is so frustrating. That's why we started recording everything, because we played a show early on, the band I used to be in, and I was like, I think I rewrote the drum part to that entire song and I like it more, but now I have no idea what the fuck we just did, because the adrenaline kicks in, you walk off, you roll in, you're out walking, you're talking, and I'm like, oh, it's gone. It's gone. But do you do it?
I know that feeling.
Do you do a Jack White? Sorry, Tim, but do you do a Jack White, you two, when you play live and just call out the song as it is, or do you write down the set list?
We write down a set list, actually. We've been playing the same set list now for like since the first gig that we played after lockdown.
Yeah. So the problem is, if we used to be able to just like wing it and just play whatever song we wanted, but then after the show, like, you'd be like, oh fuck, we didn't play this.
Right.
Like you forget about songs, and like when you have a set list, it's just so much easier to like remember all the songs that you really want to play, and then make sure that you play them, because they're obviously all in a row. And it's also, it feels like more, not organic, but like if you rehearse them in that order, then performing them live in that order feels like more natural, because you're used to that order. And it's like the delivery of the songs, you can kind of build tension or like loosen tension throughout the sets based on the songs that you are playing in a row, or like whatever song choice you have.
You can also squeeze in a lot more songs, because all those little lulls where you're trying to decide what to do next, they all add up to like another song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
we just like, hey, what's up with the Tazers? Boom, next song. Just fucking easy.
And I mean, it's different for like for a Jack White or an Eddie Vedder, in the sense that they've got 30 years. Well, I mean, Eddie's got 30, Jack's got 20 years behind him, where they can just go, yeah, okay, hit song. What city are we in? And how are you feeling right now? Yeah, fuck it, Seven Nation Army, let's go. Okay, all right, sweet. Very different. Yeah,
I think we're almost there. In terms of like, we're quite happy with the quality of all the songs that we know to play live. It's just, crafting it just feels so much better, and it gives you this extra confidence when you launch into another song. You're like, oh, this is perfect. This song goes right with. It's in the same key. It's about the same tempo. People won't feel so jarred. It's a nice.
What song did I play on Saturday? Like half tempo?
Oh my God. Jethro was so drunk. We played someone's 30th birthday. And it was borrowed phrases. And like Jethro starts dun 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 dun. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? It was like that meme where there's the train and the fucking car that's about to get hit to it. And it's like the car on the track is the singer starting the song, and then the train is the drummer about to come in at the right tempo.
Yeah, that's just been doing the rounds the last 3 days. I just saw that last night on my walk before bed. That's funny. The original song, for those watching and listening right now, is This Is the Tempo. Yeah. So you came in.
That was currently working at, so it literally couldn't run faster than it was completing that.
Oh, brilliant.
I literally had to play slower so that Jethro could keep up with me. It was hilarious.
Oh my God. Now talk about push and pull, give and take. There you go. But that's a friend's birthday. That's different, right? That's not you playing to a label. This is how we go about it.
No, everyone there was so fucked.
It was a very casual show. I mean, it was just like a private party and very like DIY setup. So yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah, the venue is owned by our friend Terry. That Jethro actually throws a 70s fest there as well.
Right, there we go. There's the connect. Well, I mean, and you've been itching to fucking play, so go and have some fun and chill out. And you know that if you're gonna have a slow night, that's the damn well night that's allowed to be slow. Just get back in the groove, you know.
I wasn't on the same level as Guido, because Guido and Jethro were both very, very on a level that I was not at yet.
Right.
And by the end of the set, I actually had a little tantrum behind the drums. I was playing super. It's just like, if you guys aren't going to play on time, I'm absolutely going to just play over you. Fuck this.
Oh, right. I want to see that footage, the progression of the anger of Tim. Yeah.
That would be good movie.
The last notes that I played on the cymbals, I was like, okay, I'm done. And I threw my sticks at the cymbals, and I was quite glad that like the cymbal, like the stick went just past Jethro's head. Like I was like, oh, thank God it didn't hit his head. Anyway.
I remember playing a showcase once, and I get very passionate when I play. I'm the drummer that really stares into the soul of everyone out there. Like, you're coming with me, motherfucker. Let's go. And I always just throw my sticks. I don't think I just throw it at the end of the show. And because I GoPro and we filmed everything, there was one show where I didn't know that my friend Brian, who was going to DJ between sets, was crouched down behind his rig to my left of the drum kit. And I just launched these sticks to the left and smacked him square in the fucking face and ribcage. And I've got it on camera, and I still watch it back every now and again, not out of some sordid sick pleasure, but just out of, just be aware of being in the moment, because I don't drink or anything, so there's no excuse. It was just passion and adrenaline, just like, fuck yeah. And then the poor guy, if you get it in slow-mo, he's like, my eyeball. It's like the Matrix in slow-mo, but without fucking 38 cameras. Poor guy.
I hit someone in the eye once with a broken drumstick.
Oh.
Luckily it hit them there. It didn't hit them in the eyeball, but it was a broken drumstick. I was like, who wants it? And I tried my best. I did the underarm throw and everything, and they just completely missed it and hit them in the eye. So glad I didn't get sued.
That's not on you, Tim. Don't worry about it. However, if you could obtain a drumstick of a drummer post-show, what drummer would that drumstick obtain a beer?
Mitch Mitchell. Mitch Mitchell of the Jimi Hendrix Experience. He is the most influential drummer of my life. One that's maybe alive today that I would love to. I actually bumped into him at Oppie Copy because he played there a couple of years back. Is a guy called Dan Mayo. He plays for a band called Touch-Run. He's from.
I remember speaking to them.
Yeah, I bumped into him on the festival grounds. He at that time he didn't really know much English. I was like, "Oh my God, you're the most amazing drummer." And he's like, "Oh, thank you." You know, like he didn't.
Yeah.
Shame, a poor guy. I was just like inundating him with like these drumming questions. He's like, yes. Poor guy. But yeah, Mitch Mitchell. If there's any drummer I could speak to, Mitch Mitchell for sure.
Brilliant. Jethro, for you. A guitar pick, maybe we'll mix it up. If you could get anyone's guitar pick, Jethro, who would it be?
I mean, I'd like John Bonham's drumstick because I fucking dig his drumming.
Mm-hmm.
But guitar pick, shit. I mean, there's so many influential guitarists like in modern day. Say one of them, maybe Tom Misch. Tom Misch is like a really cool jazz trip hop artist. I really dig his style of guitar playing. So yeah, that would probably be one of my choices. Maybe the dude from Royal Blood. What's
Mike
Kerr?
Kerr.
What his name is. Yeah, but it will be a bass pick, so it'll be a bit thicker.
Yeah,
but that'll also be pretty rad. Otherwise, maybe the guitarist from D-Mob Happy. I don't know his name either. But
oh my God, yeah, I'm desperate to chat with them. Hopefully, in the next 2 weeks, I'm chatting with them. But they're
super rad.
Yeah, similar to you.
Shout out, please. They are incredible. They are so fucking cool.
Have you ever met them or spoke to them or connected at all? Because I've got, when I write lists of bands that I recommend to bands, I've got you on my list to recommend to them, because that just would be a dream gig. That would be so good.
That would be my dream gig. 100%.
Yeah, same.
All right, we're gonna try and connect them. That's what we'll try and do then. Is when we next connect in 6 months, we'll try and get D-Mob in the chat as well, if our conversation goes well, which it should do. But I know that they're also like
them to apply for Oppie Copy in South Africa.
Okay.
Give them a place to stay.
You'll have to email me. I'm going to search completely the wrong thing, but no, I think they're also recording right now. I think that's why it's been a bit slow go with the communication the last few weeks. But and I don't want to say any more on that. I mean, there's only a handful of us here in this moment, but I think that's what they're up to, and that's why it's suddenly been pushed back a bit. But they are a band that I find they're just scintillating. They're so fucking cool, and even another band I think that you would enjoy in terms of England and that sort of vibe would be Drenge. Drenge are a three-piece.
Yes.
The Loveless Brothers. Yeah, I mean that's harkening a little bit more to the sort of grunge vibe of it, but they certainly get so experimental. Every record they've put out of the three is so different, but it's still Drenge. It's still the Loveless tone and atmosphere that they produce. But yeah, two really cool bands there, Demo Pappy and Drenge. That's cool.
Drenge is like Drenge is like, oh, they've got this like you say grunge, but they're just so badass. Like one of my favorite songs of theirs is "I Want to Break You in Half."
Yeah, talking
to some dude who's trying to date his sister. It taps into your inner anger that in such a, I don't know, like just literally plugs straight into me. It's so weird.
But it's the nonchalant delivery that does it for me, is that you don't necessarily pick up the first 2 or 3 times of listening that this is pretty aggressive. Like this is, you know, the Snake is a great song. We Can Do What We Want is a great song. I mean, they're just, I'm hoping that they're working on some stuff. I don't know, but I hope so, because it's been a year and a half, 2 years since the last release. But yeah, sweet. Okay, cool. I love that how did you come across those guys? From being maybe listed on the same thing on Spotify or how?
I got recommended Drenge by a friend of mine, Frankie, who plays for a fucking cool South African band called In Bloom. They're actually about to release a new single.
I play In Bloom, yeah.
It came out on Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Fuck,
yeah.
I need to listen to it.
It's called New Eyes. New Eyes by In Bloom. Pretty cool.
Yeah, actually, they... Yeah, because Demons is what I have on the system. As I just double check what I've got on what was that. Yeah, sweet. No. All right. Well, amazing. This is going to be quite the list of music that we're going to get from you two. It might be the biggest one on the Discover portal yet, which will be sweet.
There's a band that I've been dying to mention to you. I know we probably should just put it in the list for you. But there's a South African band. They're not really playing that much anymore. They're called Black Math. They're literally named after the Jack White's the White Stripe song Black Math. They are incredible. They're from Durban, which is like a lesser rock city of South Africa. And we played the first gig we played with them. We played after them, and it was impossible to get the crowd to the same level as they did. We were like, if we ever play with them again, we're playing first.
Right.
Because they are just so good.
Are they 3, 4, 5 people? What are they? Are they psychedelic as well, or?
So they're a three-piece band, but like the lead singer is like just a multi-instrumentalist. He's also like arguably one of the nicest guys like on the scene, and they're just like a bunch of stoners. They don't really like care about like band image or whatever, but you know, like if Black Math is on a bill, like you know it's going to be a fucking insane party, because everyone knows that Black Math just, when they play, they just destroy everything they play. So like it's just one of those things that like it's so hard to get them on the bill, because they all like live their own like fucking stoner lives, and they're all like weird about shit. But like when they do like all come together and they do actually perform, it's like possibly one of the best South African exports that we've had. It's insane.
It's also like lightning in a bottle, because they barely practice before their sets, and they live in different cities now. So they'll have like one practice where they're like, oh wait, remember where that changes? Yeah. And they just kind of on the fly put it all back together. It's insane.
Okay, I've got to look up some Black Math. I hope everyone's taking fucking notes, because we're going to forget some of these along the email chain. But no, that's great. This is awesome. I appreciate both of your time so much. I mean, Tim, it sounds like you've got someone else other than the cat back there with you. I appreciate their time as well in patience whilst we get to know each other. But I've got to be honest with you, I'm bursting, having drank so much tea, and this happens every fucking interview, but I can't not drink copious amounts. So there's 2 options. We can either call it in the next couple of minutes, or you two can just entertain. Let's just go through who's watching right now. There's Enito, Eggy Lord, Elasian, Feet, Joti1, Caps, MetaViews, Oldivan, Small Streamer Server, that's probably a bot, Venetia, Steve, Jeremy's here.
Wow, lots of people online. Damn.
Yeah, so I don't know if I want to risk, and I say risk sarcastically, leaving you two in charge for a minute whilst I go and piss, and then we can come back and keep talking for a little bit, or what do you want to do? There's no wrong answer.
Jethro? Have you?
I do need to leave relatively soon. I mean, we have been on the call for like an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah,
so
no, that's fine. That's fine.
I actually also have my partner's cooked up the most amazing bolognese that I can smell, and I'm.
Oh well, God, it's nearly 10 p.m., isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's leave it. Let's leave him wanting more, and by that I mean everyone that's here in this moment and this newfound friendship. I I really appreciate your time, Jethro and Tim. This has been an absolute thrill, and I'm just so glad.
I would love to talk with you again about my other bands, and I must introduce you to Ifrit Sneyman as well.
Yeah. We will continue to connect. I assure you of that. I'm in the business of looking for things that galvanize and excite me, that revolve around rock. And no, it's been a real delight. So I really appreciate it. And thanks for joining in this little conversation vibe of just really getting to know each other. That then for me, what I always love about looking back at these is that first 10, 15 minutes where you build the connection, and then you look back at our last hour of conversation, and you two have shared some amazing music suggestions. You've shared some great insight into your production and your work, and you've just shared your souls. And that's what's been so exciting for me to try and find out about is, will these fuckers that I adore listening to actually be as cool as I think they are? And you are. And it's just me. I'm just one human. I'm not the overall decider of all the cool fuckers on the planet we call Earth, but you two are awesome. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Much. Thanks for having us. It's been a pleasure from my side. And yeah, it's been great chats. And thanks to all your viewers, I guess, for listening. I mean, that's rad too.
Yeah, Jeremy says, absolutely amazing conversation. Thanks for letting us listen in. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, no. So go and enjoy your bolognese, Tim. Go and enjoy your next steps, Jethro. And we will talk again. And I'll email you probably later today, or if not tomorrow, with the next steps and when all this is ready to be checked before it goes public. This won't go public until you give it its thumbs up and green light.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, man.
All right. See you soon.
Yes.
Cheers,
definitely.
John.
Yes.
Bye.
Thanks, man. Cheers.
So that was a conversation with the Tazers, and I really appreciate your time. You can find out more about them by going to whatwasthatradio.com. And otherwise, whatever you're doing the rest of your day, and as always, please look after yourself. And I hope there's some fun and smiles involved in the rest of it too, because you've got to cherish that positive. I am noticing as I bang out a bunch of these, just so we're clear, bang out is a phrase. Okay, I'm going to remove that. Just so we're clear, as I create a bunch of these intros and extras, I've noticed I'm doing a lot of pointing. If you made it the whole way through the video, please do reach out and say, just say this, a whole lot of pointing, and see if I remember to me sassing myself in the future when you do that. I mean, this seems a bit much. Cheerio.